Hey guys, today friends, we are gonna see what if Naruto drops his mask in front of Temari movie. Sarutobi sighed as he looked at Naruto, a very faraway look in his eyes, before he focused back in on Naruto. Naruto, I am going to be frank with you here, since you succeeded in stopping a B-rank traitor from departing the village with a scroll of all of the forbidden techniques of Konoha, Iruka saw fit to grant you status as a genin of Konoha, which I also see fit. But I also know that you did know that what you were doing wasn't some super secret way to pass the academy, and I know that you did not only learn the shadow clone jutsu from the scroll, I know that you copied down several things from the scroll. I need to see what it was that you copied down, now. I didn't copy. Naruto began to splutter. Do not try my patience here, Naruto. I know you copied down things from the scroll, and you will show me all that you copied down right now. That's an order. Sarutobi had a no bullshit attitude, completely dead serious, somewhat startling Naruto from the friendly, grandfatherly figure he had seen previously when Sarutobi would visit him. Alright, Naruto reached inside his orange jumpsuit, reaching into a hidden inside pocket to pull out the scroll he had used to copy things down onto. Tentatively, Naruto held it across Arutaba's desk. Here, I didn't take anything that seemed too important, I swear. Taking the scroll, Sarutobi unrolled it in front of him, spreading it out all the way open. The lightning style basic practice, 2E level lightning jutsu, a D level, 3C level, and a high B1 too. Well, I guess, since that none of these are forbidden knowledge, it is okay, as well as tree walking and water walking, which should also be okay. Rolling the scroll back up, Sarutobi held it back across the desk to Naruto. These are okay, nothing is forbidden knowledge. It seems that while you could not resist taking some things, you didn't take anything too big, which kind of brings me to the next matter. I would like to talk to you about Naruto. Taking a deep breath, Sarutobi looked at Naruto's relief-filled eyes as Naruto realized he wasn't being punished for copying from the scroll. Exhaling slowly, Sarutobi began, as a ninja of Konoha, I need you to be using all of your full potential, so I need you to do something that may be very difficult for you to do, Naruto. I am going to need you to drop your mask. Faltering for a second, Naruto got nervous again. I do not know what you mean, Jiji. I don't have. Naruto was cut off as Sarutobi spoke all business again. Naruto, you know what I am talking about. You can't lie behind a false you, pretending to be a class clown, an idiot. You are a one-of-a-kind genius, Naruto, and I know it. You do not have to be a prankster. A loudmouth or a joker to gain people's attention. You can earn it by your hard work, as people recognize you for your work. A swift change went across Naruto's face as he did drop his mask, his eyes furrowing and a frown forming on his face. It is not that I hide myself to gain attention, Hokage-sama. It is because I am afraid that if villagers saw me as a genius, beyond what they can imagine, that they would not ignore me, but jump to the conclusion that the Kyuubi was influencing my mind. Or just controlling me for me to be as smart as I am. Sarutobi nodded, yes, but be that as it may, Naruto, from now on, as an official ninja of Konoha, you are allowed to strike a civilian if they strike you first in an unprovoked assault. No more of those hurting you in a drunken rage being tossed in jail for 10 days, you would be allowed to hit them back. And wouldn't be punished for fighting back like a civilian would be for hitting another civilian back. Naruto smiled, a true smile on his face, holding no hate, revenge, or sadism, but only what could be described as though someone had lifted a huge weight off of his shoulders for the first time. Seeing the huge smile stretch across Naruto's face, Sarutobi misinterpreted it, quickly speaking again, but that does not in any way mean that you can hit a civilian unprovoked or with excessive force, Naruto. Sensing Sarutobi's concern, Naruto assured him, no, I smiling because now I do not have to wear this fucking hideous god-forsaken orange jumpsuit anymore. The last time I tried to wear normal clothes I got beat to hell because the drunken fools could see that I had some decent muscle tone and beat me up for that too, no letting the demon brat get stronger, right? So I have had to wear this god-awful jumpsuit to cover up my muscle, and it had to be bright orange, so it fit in with my mask. Sarutobi frowned, genuine sadness on his face as he looked at Naruto with a tear in his eye. I am sorry, Naruto, so sorry for how you have been treated, ignored, overpriced, thrown out, even beat up at least once a year on your birthday. Even with all the Anbu detail that I have assigned you, almost all of them would never see a thing. Don't worry, Jiji, I have never blamed you for not trying, because I know how much you have tried to do for me, and I am grateful because you are the only person that has ever helped me. Naruto smiled at Sarutobi, another true, genuine smile that warmed his heart to see Naruto smile, a real smile, not a fake one that he had seen for the last 9 years since Naruto stopped smiling. Sarutobi smiled, I wouldn't say I am the only one to help you, Naruto. Kakashi was one of the Anbu who would watch out for you, and when he was on watch over you, nothing ever happened to you for the 4 hours he was on duty, and your large stipend comes mostly from Jiraiya of the Sannin, the sensei and student of the Yondaime Hokage, have taken care of you as much as they could. For what he had to do to you 13 years ago. Solemnly, Naruto nodded, then please thank them for me, Jiji. I always thought you were the only one who ever did anything for me, except for Iruka sensei. Naruto, there are thousands of people here that owe you their lives for holding back the Kyuubi in you every day. Sarutobi stood and walked around to where Naruto sat, where he wrapped his arms around Naruto in an embrace, speaking into his ear, "Good night Naruto, be at the academy tomorrow at 10 am for team assignments, and do not forget, even tomorrow, I need you to drop your mask. Be yourself, because your sensei is going to need to know the real you, not a fake troublemaking dead last slacker, okay?" Pulling away from Sarutobi's embrace, Naruto spoke, "Yeah, I will Jiji, even if it will be different not being someone else for once, but I cannot wait to just finally be able to go full out and show everyone how good I really am, even show myself how good I am." 22 minutes later. Walking around the corner towards his apartment building, Naruto heard too late the sound of a group of drunks hanging around the entrance to his apartment. Never can just have a nice day, can I? The large fat man with an ugly goatee and mid-back length, light brown hair pulled back into a ponytail, saw Naruto first. "Aw, look at who it is, guys. It's the Kyuubi brat looking all high and mighty tonight." The heavy slur in his voice was matched in all 5 of the others' voices, all sex very clearly wasted out of their minds. At once, they all started to run at Naruto, and out of reflex, Naruto had taken 10 steps running back before he stopped. "I do not have to take this crap anymore, fuck these drunken bastards, I am going to show them I am not some weak little boy for them to beat up because they need to vent." Planting his foot, Naruto pivoted back to turn back towards the group of drunks, the fat one leading the way as Naruto planted his foot and launched himself at him, his right fist smashing into his throat with all of the force Naruto could put behind it. The man fell to the ground clutching at his throat as Naruto smoothly rolled over him, dropping low as he stopped, sweeping his leg out and tripping one other guy over, hearing the satisfying crack as the back of his head smacked the road, rolling right to avoid one man's clumsy kick. Naruto grabbed the leg and continued rolling, pulling the man over. Letting go as the man got launched into the air, sailing 6 feet before he landed face first onto the road, probably chipping teeth as he bit the road hard. The 4th man launched a punch at Naruto's face when he tried to stand, which Naruto deflected to the left with his right hand, then bringing his right elbow up to the man's face, smashing in his nose as Naruto heard the cartilage break with a crunch. The last 2 guys had been standing back from the fight, believing that 4 full-grown men were more than enough for the Kyuubi brat, as it had always been when they ambushed him as he tried to get to his apartment. Seeing their friends all lay out on the street, all groaning in pair, the 2 both felt fear as their drunken minds quickly, both came to one conclusion. It is the demon. It has finally come for us. "Run Amako, forget this, I am getting away from here." One man turned and ran away, running down the street as his friend Amako just stood there. Sensing that the man was frozen in terror at the Kyuubi coming back, Naruto got an evil idea. Pushing a slight amount of chakra towards his throat, Naruto let out a demonic-sounding growl as the chakra amplified the sound, sounding as if a giant beast had roared, not a 13-year-old boy. Now Naruto could see the wet spot in his pants as Amako pissed himself before running away. Screaming in terror, "The demon is back." Over and over as he ran he screamed, much to Naruto's amusement. "Ahahahahaha." Naruto couldn't help but laugh out loud at that, before looking back at the 4 men that lie groaning on the road. Whatever, not like they exactly would have helped me out." Ignoring them, Naruto instead walked up his stairs to his apartment. Opening the door to his apartment, Naruto looked around at the apartment. Ramen cup-covered floor, ramen cup-covered couch, ramen covered counter, ramen cup-covered stove. Yep, I really wish I could eat something other than damn ramen. Groaning as he rolled over, Naruto smacked his hand onto his alarm clock, turning it off as he kicked at the sheets restricting his legs. Freeing himself from the sheets, Naruto yawned as he stood and stretched. Within 2 minutes, Naruto was in the shower, sighing as the hot water ran over his body. As his mind finally woke up, Naruto almost shouted when he remembered the previous night, nearly singing to himself. He yelled, "No more orange fucking jumpsuit. No more getting beat up by wasted assholes. No more dumb motherfucking clown Naruto. Fucking finally I can be my kick-ass self." Of course, this had everyone in the apartment block yelling back at Naruto to shut up or go die in a hole as someone yelled. Hopping out of the shower, Naruto dried off before heading over to his closet, pulling out some decent clothes. Naruto pulled out black cargo shorts with 3 large pockets on each side, as well as a slim-fitting red t-shirt. Within another 3 minutes, he was in his kitchen, flipping through all the cupboards looking for something not ramen. After sustaining himself off of ramen for the last 5 years of his life, Naruto had a huge addiction to it, but he knew he should eat much healthier food, even if ramen is cheap. Finally he found what he wanted, cereal. Digging through his fridge, Naruto frowned as he saw that his milk was well past expired, dumping it out into the sink. "I am eating cereal without milk then." Naruto poured a bowl of cereal into a bowl, pulling out a spoon from a drawer as he sat down at his table. In another 10 minutes, Naruto was ready to go, closing and locking his apartment door as he headed off to the academy. Looking at a watch on his left arm, Naruto read the time. Shit. 9:30 already, I will have to hurry then. Naruto took off at a quick jog towards the academy, breathing evenly after he had been running for 20 minutes straight, making Naruto think to himself, and who says running from Anbu level ninja is stupid? I can run like this all day. Naruto laughed to himself at that, finally thinking about what his day would be like, who his sensei would be, and who his teammates would be. I hope I get Shikamaru on my team if they don't put him, Choji and Ino on a team together, he is a smart dude, and maybe Hinata, she is not as bad as Ino or Sakura, even if she does really like my mask a lot. After another 5 minutes, Naruto finally pulled into view of the academy, thinking about his future sensei as he ran through the doors, tearing down the hallways as he raced to make it to the classroom before 10. Slowing down as he reached the hallway leading to his classroom, Naruto took a second to even his breathing and slow his heart rate down. No sense coming to class looking like an idiot who is late. I am so sick of pretending to be an idiot, and I cannot wait to rip Sakura and Ino a new one if they even yell at me. Stopping before his door, Naruto slowly pushed the door open, stepping into the room. Immediately the only thing Naruto could hear was Sakura and Ino screaming at each other about who would sit next to their precious Sasuke-kun today. Taking pity, Naruto slipped by the two raging girls, quietly sitting down next to Sasuke, nodding to him as he sat down. Sasuke nodded back, showing his thanks for protecting him from the hormone-raging teens, but then Sakura and Ino noticed that their seat by Sasuke was taken by Naruto no less. Sakura spoke first, practically spitting in Naruto's face. Naruto. Get out of my seat by Sasuke-kun. Ino looked all tough too, yeah. What do you think you are doing taking my seat by Sasuke-kun? Sakura turned on Ino at that, Ino pig. It's my seat by Sasuke-kun today. I beat you through the doorway fair and square. Naruto droned out at that, doing his best to block out the banshee screaming as he leaned over to Sasuke. Dude, how do you seriously put up with these bitches every day? If Sasuke was surprised to hear Naruto call Sakura a bitch, he didn't show as he ignored Naruto, staring at his desk as if nothing else mattered. Naruto scoffed, well damn dude, there must be some amazing shit on that desk. Again he was ignored, as Naruto looked away from Sasuke to see Sakura's fist heading directly to his face. In a flash of reflexes, Naruto grabbed Sakura's fist with his left hand, heaving backwards as he threw Sakura off balance, off her feet, sending her sprawling onto the ground. Looking down at Sakura, Ino blinked stupidly, trying to figure out how Sakura went from punching that Naruto baka in the face to on the floor in less than 2 seconds. Then she realized that Naruto had pushed her over, even if he did it in seconds. Naruto baka. How dare you push Sakura over like that? You can't hit a girl like that. Ino snapped at Naruto in a second, seriously pushing Naruto's buttons, as he knew he could put aside his crappy mask and not take the bullshit lying down. Naruto stood, getting in Ino's face. Oh. Who am I to block her fist as she tried to punch me in the face? Who am I to not let myself be punched in the face because I sat in a fucking seat? And I don't care if she is a girl. She tried to hit me for no reason. I am just fine defending myself because you two like to play wo's the biggest bitch. Now go sit the fuck down. Cringing back, Ino was on the verge of tears as Naruto just picked her apart, his insults and accusations hitting home hard. Slowly, she backed off, turning to go sit in one of the back seats, Sakura following behind her. It was at that moment everyone was looking at Naruto when they all realized something. He wasn't in an orange jumpsuit. Dressed in the form-fitting red t-shirt, it revealed his rather impressive arms, built like he was weightlifting in his spare time. His shorts showed his calves, which were huge, comparable to what you would see an Olympic runner have. Even Sasuke looked at him, recognizing the muscle to show that Naruto did work out and train, unlike what he thought before, thinking Naruto was an idiot and a clown who had the worst grade in the class. Shikamaru was also surprised, seeing the muscle Naruto had hidden under his horrible jumpsuit all these years. This was of course when Kiba spoke up, and who do you think you are, Naruto? Yelling at Ino like that, what does a change of clothes make you feel all tough today, dope? You shouldn't even be here, I do not even know how you got that headband. Turning to Kiba, Naruto was still irritated when he spoke. Oh, so it was okay for Sakura to try to punch me in the face. Or for Ino to yell at me for not letting Sakura hit me in the face. And I have never even changed, Kiba, I am just tired of trying to be a nice guy all the damn time. And I got this headband because I earned it. Now shut up and mind your own business. Kiba did nothing but glare at Naruto for the entire 3 minutes before Iruka walked into the classroom, calling out a greeting to the class, again congratulating everyone on passing, again, hello class, I am glad to see everyone here today, and I am very proud to congratulate all of you for earning the right to be put onto your genin teams under a jounin sensei. I would like to get right down to it, as the first senseis should be arriving in about 15 minutes. First off, Team 1 Naruto spaced out as he waited to just hear his own name called, finally hearing Iruka call out Team 7, Naruto Uzumaki, Shikamaru Nara, and Ino Yamanaka, your sensei will be Kakashi Haddock. Alright Shikamaru, but damn it, had to be Ino, right after I snapped at her and made her cry too, that could be a wait. Kakashi. The Yondame's student. Yes, this is great. Team 9 is still in circulation, so we go on to Team 10, Choji Akamichi, Sasuke Uchiha and Hinata Hyuga. Your Jounin sensei will be Asuma Sarutobi. Now I would like to wish you all luck with. Again Naruto zoned out as he thought, Asuma Sarutobi, he is the Hokage's son, no doubt an elite Jounin like Kakashi, one son of a Hokage, one student of a Hokage, they must make two really cool senseis. Time skip 4 hours. Naruto groaned as he leaned against the wall, tired from his last 3 hours of attempting to climb the wall, using only chakra applied to his feet. After the first hour of waiting, Naruto had given up on just sitting there, so he had pulled out the scroll that had all of the things he had copied from the Forbidden Scroll, choosing the tree walking exercise. As it was supposed to be a genin level ability, taught to all genin, so it should be no problem. Wrong. It took Naruto an hour to be able to get both feet on the wall and simply stand there, sideways against the wall. Another 2 hours later, Naruto could now take about 4 or 5 steps before losing the balance of chakra and falling down from the wall. After the first 20 minutes of their sensei not showing up, Shikamaru fell asleep at a desk and Ino was sitting at the farthest corner from Naruto, lost in deep thought. This still vaguely concerned Naruto, wondering if he had indeed gone too far when he yelled at Ino. His questions were answered when Ino walked over to Naruto as he took a break from trying to walk up the wall. As she tried to apologize to him, Naruto, I am sorry I yelled at you, Sakura had no right to try to hit you, and I shouldn't have tried to find some way to put you at fault when you didn't even really hit her even. But then I got to thinking how awful me and Sakura always treated you over these last 3 years, even though me and Sakura both remember how you were the first person besides me that was nice to Sakura, back when everyone picked on her about her forehead. But then after I realized that you were always really nice to me and Sakura, we were always mean to you, for no reason. And I wanted to say that, I am sorry, and I hope we can still be friends and good teammates. Ino looked at Naruto pleadingly after the last part, as Naruto had sat silently listening to Ino. Naruto sighed, Ino, I accept your apology, but I will say that it wasn't entirely your fault. I will admit that I was always a little annoying sometimes. Shikamaru, who had woken up and listened to Ino's apology and Naruto's reply, openly laughed at Naruto. Right Naruto, you were a little bit of a drag sometimes, more like you were a loudmouth clown that never let me sleep in class, you were yelling too often. This had all three Naruto, Ino and Shikamaru laughing as Naruto reached his hand out to Ino and they shook hands. As they were laughing, they failed to notice someone slip into the room, swiftly moving behind Shikamaru, placing a hand on his shoulder, causing Shikamaru to jump and shout, which caused Ino to yell in response. Shikamaru thought, wow, I never even noticed him come in or even walk up to and put a hand on my shoulder. Ino was thinking, wow, that was really cool how he snuck in here like that. Naruto was the only one thinking, so this is Kakashi Haddock, student of the Yondaime himself, the last member of the Haddock clan, and an ex-Anbu. Now that he has us to teach, I will have to thank him for how he has helped me when other Anbu won't. Kakashi waved at them while secretly laughing at the look that Shikamaru had on his face. Alright Genin, please meet me up on the rooftop in 3 minutes, go. In a swirl of leaves, Kakashi was gone, all three recognizing the Shunshin as they walked out of the classroom and headed for the stairs. In a little under 3 minutes, all three stood before Kakashi, before sitting down on the roof in a half circle around him, making sure they were all there. Kakashi started, alright, so you all have patience, and weren't yelling at me when I came in, that's good, and you all got up here in 3 minutes, not being lazy, also good. So to start off with, we should all introduce ourselves, and I will go first. My name is Kakashi Haddock. I do not really feel like telling you my hobbies. I do not have any particular goals. I like a lot of things, and I do not really dislike a lot, so yeah, you get to go next Blondie. Ino fumed at the nickname, before ignoring it. My name is Ino Yamanaka, and my goal is to become a great kunoichi like Tsunade of the Sannin someday. I like lavender, flower arrangements, helping in my family's flower shop, and the color purple. I do not like spicy food and people being rude. Kakashi nodded, as if accepting that, alright you next, with the ponytail. Shikamaru raised an eyebrow at that, before continuing, my name is Shikamaru Nara, I hope to raise a family with 2 kids and a normal wife, while becoming the next shinobi military tactics leader. Like my dad, I like napping, cloud gazing, and walking through my family's forests. I dislike loud people and being taken away from cloud gazing. Kakashi nodded at that as well, alright and lastly, Mr. Whiskers. Naruto laughed at the nickname, as it was quite original. My dream is to I think I want to become a great shinobi, like no one else before, becoming a legendary ninja that will be told about for generations, and I like ramen, training, the time I spend with Hokage-sama, and I love lightning. I do not like ignorant people, judging people, and being bored. There was a moment of silence before Ino spoke up, since we all talked about ourselves, why don't you really tell us more about yourself sensei? Kakashi I smiled before replying, because I do not want to. Naruto smiled, well I know that Kakashi was the Yondaime student and he is an elite jounin in Konoha, so he better train us to be kick-ass ninjas. Kakashi seemed surprised Naruto knew anything about him. Before he spoke, yes well, I have places to be, so I will meet all of you tomorrow at 6 am at training ground 7 and bring all of your survival training equipment, you will need it, oh and before I forget, do not eat breakfast tomorrow or you will throw up, have a nice day. In a swirl of leaves Kakashi was gone, leaving the three students alone. Naruto spoke first, well, you guys tomorrow, I am going to go home and work on tree walking more. Shikamaru nodded, yes see ya, I could use a good nap right now. Ino was the last to depart, saying she had to get home to her family's flower shop to help out there. As Naruto walked back to his apartment, he sent a shadow clone to go buy milk and other food after handing it about half his money with a specific order, not to buy ramen. An hour later, Naruto's clone returned with groceries, putting them all away as Naruto worked on climbing a wall in his apartment, but it was as the shadow clone dispelled that Naruto realized something. He could remember walking to the store, buying milk, chicken, eggs, cheese and bread, even walking back nearly getting beat up by a fat man with long brown hair pulled back in a ponytail. As the shadow clone ran, not wanting to ruin the groceries. With an exciting idea, Naruto created a clone and had it think of a number before dispersing. Immediately after the clone dispersed, the number 11 popped into Naruto's head. Wow, this is amazing. I wonder if I can use the shadow clone's memory to learn things twice as fast, maybe I should try using a clone to learn tree walking. Following his idea, Naruto created 3 clones and had them start to practice tree walking on his wall. After waiting 40 minutes, Naruto dispersed the clones before attempting again to try and climb the wall. To his astonishment and amazement, Naruto made it all the way to the top of the wall, bumping into the ceiling, and he could turn and walk back down, all with no problem. Wow. I bet I can learn all kinds of jutsu really quick like this and get really strong too, really fast. I cannot wait to learn to use lightning chakra so I can learn lightning jutsu. Hopefully Kakashi sensei's training exercise tomorrow will be really cool too. Slamming his hand down onto his alarm clock, Naruto rolled out of bed in the shower before his mind caught up to him through his sleep-addled brain. 3 minutes later, Naruto was sitting down with a bowl of cereal, thinking about Kakashi and how he had helped him when no other Anbu would and how he was now his sensei. I am so glad he ended up as my sensei, but maybe he requested to have me as a student because he wants to help me. Asuma would have been a really cool sensei too, I know he would be super strong with Hokage-sama as a father. Checking his watch, Naruto saw that the time was 5:32, meaning he had to leave right away. In a minute, Naruto was out his door, closing and locking it behind him as he started a jog to training ground 7. In 25 minutes, he arrived at the training ground to see Shikamaru and Ino already there, Shikamaru laying down looking up at the sky, no doubt watching clouds. As Ino was sitting up against a tree reading from a scroll. Naruto called out a greeting to the both of them, as Shikamaru murmured a greeting back and Ino sleepily called back, walking over, Naruto couldn't help but ask, hey Ino, what is it that you are reading? Ino lowered the scroll, looking up at Naruto to reply, I am reading a family jutsu scroll, about the beginning technique for our clan, to read the thoughts of the person we cast it on. It is really cool that I can learn to do that, but my father said to never use it on someone without them knowing that is forbidden by our clan. Naruto was intrigued, how does that work Ino? It must be really complicated. Well actually, a trait of our clan is that our minds are easily capable to learn these jutsu, but no one knows how the trait developed, but no one else can learn to do it other than people in our clan, but it really isn't hard for us to learn. So can you do it now if we were to let you try it on either of us? Naruto was very curious about the ability to read someone's mind, even if it could be a huge invasion of privacy. Well if someone is standing still, I could try to, my father can do it on moving people, but he said it is 30 times more complicated to read someone's thoughts when they are moving, but I have never tried to use it before. My dad always said I would start to learn family jutsu as soon as I could prove I could become a genin. Naruto smiled at her, well then let's see if you can do it then. Ino seemed a little nervous then, okay I can try it, but you will have to stand in front of me and be very still. Ino stood up, walking closer to Naruto as she placed her hand on Naruto's forehead, closing her eyes in concentration as she began, wow. This is incredible. I can catch bits and pieces of what you are thinking, something about shadow clones and tree walking. Naruto helped but smile as Ino opened her eyes, a beaming smile on her face, as Naruto could not help but exclaim, that is so cool Ino. Ino was beaming at Naruto's praise, so is there anything you can do Naruto? And what are shadow clones? Now, Shikamaru was paying some actual attention, also thinking that learning what his teammates could do would be good for whatever Kakashi had prepared for them. Yeah Naruto, you should show us what you can do, then I can show you guys what I can do, so we can be prepared for Kakashi sensei's training. Nodding, Naruto replied, yeah, that is a really smart idea, Shika, so here I go. Naruto went through the hand signs as several shadow clones popped into existence next to him, all showing bright smiles as they then ran to the tree Ino had sat down next to again and ran straight up it before backflipping off as they showed off. Shikamaru blinked, so are those just illusions or solid clones? They are solid clones, and the coolest thing is that they transfer memory when they dispel, so I used them to learn to tree walk really fast. I got it down way faster than anyone could have normally, and there is something else that I am trying to do, it is the training technique to learn to control lightning chakra. What I have to do is focus my chakra to vibrate really fast. Then I expel it through a focus point, like my fingers, then I can control it outside of my body, once I get good enough. Shikamaru inquired, so can you expel it from your body yet? Naruto ran a hand through his hair, ruffling it up as he tried to explain, well, what it says in the scroll is that I am supposed to be able to produce a little spark when I do it, but after having clones work on it all night, I still can't believe what happens when I try it. Confused, Ino asked, what happens, Naruto? Not being able to explain it, Naruto decided to simply demonstrate, focusing by closing his eyes. Naruto felt his chakra, commanding it to vibrate, faster and faster. After about 30 seconds, Naruto began to move that chakra to his fingertip. Upon reaching his finger, it moved out of his body, as Naruto could feel it move through the air, then boom. In a loud clap and a flash, Naruto's lighting chakra exploded out, flying nearly a foot before disintegrating into nothingness. Ino and Shikamaru blinked stupidly, both unable to understand what they had seen, but they both knew that was a hell of a lot more than a spark. That huge bolt had to be 10 times larger than a spark, even if it didn't go far or produce a huge flash, but it was still way more than what they expected. Shikamaru was the first to speak, Naruto, how did you do that? That was incredible. I mean, that must have been a lot of chakra. Ino seemed to nod, yeah, you must have used a lot of chakra to do something like that. Naruto seemed sheepish, and shadow clones are a forbidden jutsu because they require a whole lot of chakra, so only Jounin are allowed to use them, but I can use them with no problem. That is ridiculous, Naruto, how can you have that much chakra already? Shikamaru seemed to suspect something was weird about a genin having the chakra of a Jounin, but maybe it was some family thing, as he was an orphan, maybe his parents had some ability. Flawlessly, Naruto lied, I don't know, but it is super cool though, huh? Ino nodded, yeah, that is really cool, Naruto. Grinning, Naruto asked Shikamaru, so what can you do, Shika? Standing up slowly, Shikamaru yawned, well, other than the academy jutsu, I can use my clan's Kajimane technique, which can bind someone in place to mimic my movements. Wow, that is really cool, dude, how does that work? Naruto was again intrigued, but slightly jealous that his teammates had families that taught them family jutsu and had a family to go home to. Of course, none of that showed on his face. After hiding who he was for 4 out of the 5 years at the academy, he had gotten very good at hiding what he really felt. I can use my chakra to move my shadow, to connect to another person, immobilizing them and forcing them to do what I do. It requires more chakra the further I extend my shadow, and more chakra the longer I hold them, then more chakra if they resist. Naruto walked up to Shikamaru, asking him to demonstrate for him. Shaking his head, Shika concentrated as his shadow began to extend, reaching out to Naruto, before suddenly, Naruto felt like something was grabbing him, as he could no longer move. Naruto's eyes opened wide, whoa. Dude, that is so cool, I cannot move a muscle. Slowly, Naruto watched as Shikamaru raised his right arm and as his own followed suit, then his arm moved around as Shikamaru wiggled his fingers before releasing Naruto from his control. Naruto shook his body as he could move again, wow, I bet we can do whatever Kakashi-sensei has in store for us. Shikamaru and Ino both smiled back at him as Shikamaru lay back down and Ino got back to her reading. Looking at his watch, Naruto saw that the time was 6:28 AM, meaning that their sensei was late. Again, I really hope Kakashi-sensei doesn't have a habit of being late. Naruto began to sit down before he noticed something that he could not believe he had not noticed, the clones he had summoned to demonstrate. Wow, that is cool, maybe I should have more clones work on that, then I can learn it even faster, the more clones I have working on it. In a second, 10 more clones poofed into existence next to Naruto, obeying the orders they were given mentally. As they all moved away to work on lighting release, Naruto himself began to run up and down the tree, more out of boredom than anything. As Naruto ran up and down, he had to ask Shikamaru and Ino, hey, do either of you know how to do tree walking? It is supposed to help with chakra control and help improve your chakra pools. Shikamaru mumbled a no, and Ino shook her head no. Ino was the only one to say something though, as she asked Naruto how to do it. Naruto replied, it is really easy once you get the hang of it, all you have to do is put chakra into the soles of your feet, too much and you blow away from the tree, too little and you don't stick, it took me a couple of hours, but I was able to do it. Shikamaru and Ino both stood up as they both tentatively put a foot against the tree before picking up their other foot as they both fell back down immediately. Don't worry guys, it took me a couple hours to get myself off the ground, but then it is just baby steps as you figure it out, the first steps are just the hardest. Ino seemed to accept the challenge as she kept trying while Shikamaru lay back down, complaining, that is too much work, I would rather lay here cloud gazing. Naruto jumped down from the top of the tree, landing next to Shikamaru as he pulled him up to his feet. No more being lazy Shika, we are ninja now, it is time to be serious about training. It is not like your father got where he is now by sitting around watching the clouds all day, we have a responsibility now to train and get stronger for our village. Both Ino and Shikamaru stared back at Naruto, shock and admiration on their faces at the depth and truth to what Naruto said. It was truly a striking little speech that hit them both hard. Years of time that I spent chasing after Sasuke when my father always said I should train more, that I had a lot to live up to, yet I never really realized what that meant. Ino's eyes were wide as she realized that her father did have a very important position as an interrogator. They said he was the best, maybe someday she could be better. For years my mother nagged at me, but my father has hinted before that I need to be strong, yet I never realized I wasted my time just wishing I could go away and live easy. My dad is the commander over all of the ninja of the village, a position second only to the Hokage, maybe I will have that responsibility too someday, even if that would be a drag. At the same time, they both thought, my father must be so disappointed. Shikamaru stood back up, again trying to get up the tree, without saying a word. In an hour, it found Naruto running up and down the tree, and to Shikamaru and Naruto's surprise, Ino was able to walk up the tree, but not back down. To Shikamaru's total surprise, seeing Ino standing at the top of the tree, waving down at him, awoke a huge desire in him to see that smile again, and to prove himself to her that he could do it too. Come on Shika. Ino called down to Shikamaru, wiggling her finger at him, if I can do it, you can too. Shikamaru felt a drive to run up the tree after her, so he prepared himself and began to walk up the tree, going past where he had gotten before, to come to a wobbly stop next to Ino as he flashed a smile at her, which caused him to mess up his concentration and promptly fall the 10 feet down to the ground, landing on his back with a loud groan. Ino couldn't help but giggle at Shikamaru as he lay on the ground, while Naruto openly laughed at him. With another groan, Shikamaru pulled himself up to his feet, turning his head to crack his neck. He saw Kakashi bent down with his face right next to his one visible eye closed, as if he was smiling at him. Kakashi helped Shikamaru to his feet, a huge smile on his face. Well, this is a surprise. I didn't think any of you would take the initiative to train while you waited for me. Naruto caught on quick, so you were making us wait as a test. You just wanted to see if we would just wait for you or just be annoyed that you were late. Kakashi simply nodded. I would have expected most 13-year-olds to whine about me being late, but you all surprised me by taking the initiative, and I am surprised to find all of you tree walking. Most genin don't learn that until they have been a genin for a month or more. I am curious as to how you all learned it. Naruto couldn't be sure, but he thought he saw Kakashi look suspiciously at him as he said that, well, I learned it from Hokage-sama, and since we are all part of a team, I thought I should share it with Ino and Shika since it could be a lot of help. Well, alright, it should actually help all you for what you are about to go through, which is a test. Kakashi pulled out 2 bells, holding them out as he began to explain. What you guys will have to do is take these 2 bells from before noon. Anyone who has a bell at the end will pass and continue on to become a genin. Anyone who fails will be sent to the academy for redial training. Only 9 out of the 27 genin that passed the academy will continue on to be trained, so I wish you good luck. Then Kakashi was gone, leaving the 3 shocked genin to process what they had been told. It was Naruto who spoke first. I have never heard of a 2-man squad before. It is always 3, and the Hokage would not make an exception just this once. I think there is some catch to this test that we should figure out before we do anything else. Shikamaru nodded. Yes, I think the test is really all about teamwork. I think that if we can work together to the 2 bells and all do our parts, that we will all 3 pass the test. I do not think that even 2 of us together would have a chance, but maybe the 3 of us might. Ino agreed, yeah, that makes sense guys, but to be honest, I do not think that I would have figured that out. Naruto smiled, that's okay, what matters is that we do know what we have to do, but we need a good plan. Shikamaru crouched down, sliding his legs to sit in a cross-legged position, putting his hands together, as if he had a thinking pose. Shikamaru's eyes closed as he completely concentrated. I got it, this is what we have to do. Naruto and Ino leaned forward as they listened to Shikamaru's plan. Naruto smiled and nodded as Shikamaru went through his plan with Naruto and Ino. Dude, this is brilliant, have you always been this smart? You were barely ever even awake in class. Shikamaru yawned, I like to sleep, and class was boring anyway, just go along with the plan. I think that the test is about teamwork, so just show Kakashi we can work together, and this will not be a problem. All three genin hopefuls ran off in different directions as Kakashi watched them all from a tree. They all have decent enough stealth skills, but I wonder what this plan of theirs is. Kakashi jumped back down from the tree into the recently vacated clearing. You know, you won't get a bell if you are all hiding in the trees, you know. Kakashi reached slowly behind him, reaching into his back pocket to pull out his favorite treasure in the whole world, Icha Paradise. Naruto was baffled by Kakashi's total lack of regard to the three of them. Is he really so sure of himself that he is going to read while we try to get the bells? I know that he is one of the village's best ninja, and that if he didn't hold back against us when we try to get the bells, he could kill us, but really? That is just really rude, but I better make my move. I have to get the plan rolling. Naruto created 7 clones, 6 of them moving to surround the clearing, while one ran forward, loudly challenging Kakashi. Come on Kakashi-sensei, I will get one of those bells no problem. The clone ran forward with a loud war cry, intent on fighting Kakashi and Taijutsu. Kakashi barely moved as the clone approached, even as the clone pulled his fist back and moved to punch him, he barely moved, then as the clone's fist was inches away, Kakashi simply vanished. The real Naruto watching from cover blinked stupidly in surprise, he is so fast, that may make the plan a bit harder. Kakashi reappeared behind the clone, lightly pushing him over with one hand, still reading his book. Your technique is horrible, and you put way too much force into the punch and left yourself off balance, and if you even want a chance at getting a bell, you are going to have to come at me with the intent to kill. The clone scrambled to his feet, a bright grin on his face. I will show you intent to kill. The clone moved fast, creating 3 other clones. As the 4 of them jumped forward with kunai out, they moved quickly to surround Kakashi, each still clutching 2 kunai tightly in their hands. As one they moved forward, the original clone moving first as stabbed towards Kakashi's chest. Kakashi didn't even put any effort into it as he knocked the clone backwards, twisting a little, he avoided another clone's thrust, grabbing the clone's wrist, he swung the clone around, using the clone to knock all 3 clones over in a pile, leaving them to dispel in a cloud. The original clone stood back up, he still had a little juice left in him, and he could still keep the facade that Kakashi hopefully believed he was the real Naruto. So Kakashi-sensei, you are pretty good, huh? But I bet you can't take this. At the signal, the 6 clones that Naruto had created earlier broke cover from the brush around the clearing, each throwing several kunai. Soon there was 30 kunai flying at Kakashi from every direction. Sensing all of the kunai, Kakashi knew what his only option was, so he jumped up into the air to avoid the deadly projectiles. Little did he know, that was what Naruto wanted. The real Naruto broke cover as soon as the clones all threw kunai, jumping through the air to where Kakashi would jump to avoid all of the kunai. Sensing the new threat, Kakashi twisted his body in midair, avoiding the kunai Naruto would have stabbed into his back. Knowing Kakashi would dodge the kunai, Naruto swung his fist at Kakashi's head. Seeing the fist, Kakashi reached a hand out and grabbed Naruto's fist, stopping it inches from his face. That was when Naruto grinned, gotcha. The whole time Naruto's clones had been fighting Kakashi, he had been working on a new trick. Knowing that the lightning he emitted from his finger would be quite a shock, he had been working on expelling through somewhere else, his knuckles. Kakashi was holding Naruto's fist, and then Naruto expelled all of the lightning he could through his knuckles. With a bright flash and a loud crackling, Kakashi was blown backwards by the huge amount of electricity that was forced into his hand, leaving him to be thrown nearly 20 feet through the air before he recovered, landing back down onto the ground in a crouch. Naruto was surprised by the potency the lightning had. Yeah. That was fucking incredible. Kakashi stopped for a second to think, that was quite the shock. I don't know how Naruto did that, but the chakra he must have used to do that with pure lightning energy would be way more than a Chidori uses. Instantly taking advantage of Kakashi's distraction, Ino jumped out of the nearby bushes, kunai out as she dashed towards him. Kakashi was surprised as he watched Ino approach. Surely you saw how well the direct frontal assault worked for Naruto, what makes you think you can do better? I don't know if I can do better, but I have to try. She swung her kunai at Kakashi, not surprised to him take a step back to avoid it. She pushed forward, swinging quickly. Kakashi simply backed up, bobbing and weaving out of the way of all of her strikes as she seemed to get more and more frustrated. You know, I expected better out of the 3 of you, all of this, and Shikamaru has not once come out to try his own hand. Kakashi was genuinely disappointed. With all that he had heard about Shikamaru being just as smart as his father, he was surprised he had not made an appearance yet. Backing up smoothly, Kakashi watched as Ino's swings grow more and more wild as she grew irritated. Why can't I hit you? Each word was punctuated by another swing as Kakashi continued back up towards the end of the clearing. And then, Kakashi cold move, Ino stopped, now smiling widely at Kakashi. Well crap, I guess Shikamaru is as smart as they say. I walked right into his Kajimane. Naruto stepped out of the brush behind Kakashi, cutting the string holding the 2 bells with a kunai. They dropped into his palm as he laughed at Kakashi. We totally played you Kakashi-sensei. You did exactly what Shikamaru thought you would. Suddenly, Kakashi could move again as Shikamaru stepped out of the brush as well, showing a smile on his face as well. The plan was simple enough really, Naruto just had to engage you for a while, find a way to disengage, and then it was up to Ino to guide you here, where I would trap you in my Kagame jutsu, then Naruto just had to get the bells. Kakashi smiled behind his mask, it was a clever plan, though Naruto had a brilliant plan of his own for his part. You used your clones very well in the fight to trick and surprise me, and that lightning shock was quite the surprise. Naruto nodded, yeah, I expelled lightning chakra through my knuckles when I punched you. Well, it definitely did a lot more than I thought it would. It did its job. Naruto hadn't tried expelling as much chakra he could as pure lightning, but the result was definitely impressive. It did a lot more than that, Naruto. If I was a lesser man, a shock like that could have considerably hurt me. There must have been ridiculous amounts of chakra behind that, and I am not even sure I want to know how exactly you know how to use lightning manipulation. Kakashi coughed, but everything else aside, you all did a great job, I am proud of you, it was a clever plan, you all did your part, and it was great teamwork, you all pass, and I am proud to officially declare you Genin of Konoha. I will give you the rest of the day off, meet at the same place tomorrow 7 AM for training. After his short congratulations speech, Kakashi vanished in a swirl of leaves, presumably to give the news that his team had passed to the Hokage. Naruto smiled, so guys, that went pretty well huh? Official Genin now? Maybe we should all go out to eat to celebrate. It could be fun. Naruto looked questionably between Shikamaru and Ino. Shikamaru shrugged, why not? We could go to Akamichi Barbecue if Jaja's team passed, he will be there too. Ino was happy, yeah we should go celebrate and have fun, get to know each other more as a team. The three of them walked back towards the village, a comfortable silence falling on all three of them as they all thought about the test Kakashi had put them through. The three of them all worked together well, Shikamaru was the brains, Naruto was the muscle, and Ino was the support. In a short while, the three of them all stepped into Akamichi Barbecue, a relatively affordable but nice grill run by the Akamichi family. Shikamaru looked around, quickly seeing his friend Choji seated at a table. Shikamaru started to walk towards Choji, calling out, hey Choji. Our team passed, and since you are can I assume that your team passed as well. Ino and Naruto followed Shikamaru's lead as he took a seat across from Choji. Ino sat next to Shikamaru, and Choji scooted over to allow Naruto a seat. Choji looked a little uncomfortable. Well actually we did pass, sort of. Asuma gave us a test to see how well the three of us could work together. He had us defend our client, a mannequin, but he said that whoever showed the most skill would be the only one allowed to pass. Me and Hinata agreed to work together to better show what we could do, so we told Sasuke he should work with us too. Because we could show what we could better that way. He just said we would slow him down and that we should stay out of his way. He was not going to work with us until Asuma stopped the test and said that Hinata and I had passed because the test was about teamwork more than anything. But because Sasuke was not going to work with us, he said as a team we failed. He said that because Hinata and I passed, that we passed for now. But he says if Sasuke does not show the ability to work with us, that he will fail our team. We have a week to work together with him, and if at the end of the week, Sasuke doesn't work with us, we will go back to the academy. Wow, that sucks man, Kakashi did the same thing with us. He told us that only two of us could pass, and we had to steal a bell from him to pass. But we worked together as a team to get the two bells, so he said we passed. Maybe we should try to get Sasuke to see that he can work better with you and Hinata. Naruto didn't understand why Sasuke won't work with his teammates. Three people stand a better chance than one, that is just simple logic. Why does he think he had to do it alone? The four of them had a good time, mostly talking about their shared experiences at the academy and how excited they all were to be moving forward as ninja. Choji was very concerned that he wouldn't get to be a genin because he didn't think Sasuke would work with them. When they were all done eating and Shikamaru and Ino left, Naruto and Choji were the only two left sitting at the table. So Choji, do you know where Sasuke is now? I think I could try to talk to him about working with you and Hinata as a team. Choji was confused why Naruto was so interested. Well I don't know really, but if you could track him down and talk to him, I would appreciate it. I don't want to go back to the academy because he won't work with us. Naruto was worried about Sasuke. Throughout the academy Naruto had seen Sasuke as the one to beat, so even with his mask, he had constantly challenged him, and sometimes he had even challenged him to spars, which was one of the few times Naruto had an opponent he could fight. Naruto nodded to Choji, promising him that he would find Sasuke before the day was over and try to talk to him. Getting up, Naruto walked out of Akamichi Barbecue, set on finding and talking to Sasuke. It took Naruto nearly an hour to track down Sasuke because in truth, he had no idea where to look for a greedy, self-absorbed asshole that had taken one hell of a turn for the worse after he lost his family. But after an hour of fruitless searching, Naruto finally found him at a pond in the corner of the village where he was standing at the end of the dock. Focused on something that Naruto couldn't determine from where he was, silently watching Sasuke from around the corner of a nearby building. After a few minutes, nothing happened, and as Naruto got fed up of waiting and trying not to interrupt whatever it was that Sasuke was focusing on, Naruto watched in astonishment as Sasuke flashed through a set of memorized hand signs and called out fire style. Fireball jutsu. Roaring out from Sasuke's throat came a large fireball that grew to a size of about 10 feet in diameter when it got several feet away from Sasuke before it diffused into the air about 20 feet away. Naruto was more than a little impressed. Well, now I know why he is out alone at the pond. If you weren't careful, you could burn down someone's house with a fireball that large. From where Naruto was, he could see that Sasuke had a displeased look on his face at the results of his jutsu, even if Naruto couldn't begin to understand why he would be unhappy about something like that. Seizing an opportunity to try and make conversation with Sasuke, Naruto came out from around the corner of the building, calling out to Sasuke, "Hey Sasuke, that was a pretty badass fireball." Sasuke looked over to the intruder to his privacy and sneered when he saw it was Naruto, "Get out of here, dope, I don't need you bothering me while I am trying to train." Naruto was appalled by Sasuke's blatant hostility, but nonetheless tried to keep talking to Sasuke. "I saw that you looked unhappy at how your fireball turned out after it had diffused after about 6 seconds. If you want, I could teach you a chakra training technique that will help you improve your control, so you could probably keep the fireball stable longer." Sasuke raised an eyebrow, "And what would you know that I won't already know, dope?" Naruto cringed at Sasuke's pompously superior attitude and resisted the urge to start creating shadow clones to beat the crap out of Sasuke to teach him a lesson and kept himself calm. "It's called tree walking. You learn to channel chakra to the bottom of your feet and with a carefully controlled amount, you can stick to surfaces and use it to climb walls or trees." Naruto stopped for a second before he then proposed something to Sasuke, "If you want, I can help teach you how to use it correctly, but I would need a favor from you in return." Sasuke seemed to think it over before replying, "Fine dope, teach me how to walk up trees, and I will listen to whatever your request is." Sasuke was wondering what he had signed himself up for. Naruto was always incredibly unpredictable, and he had not forgotten Naruto's outbreak before team assignments the day before, which was totally out of character for the blonde. Moving quickly, Naruto dashed over to the side of the pond, where a group of reasonably tall trees were between the wall and the pond. Sasuke moved off of the dock and followed him over to the trees, looking at Naruto in distaste, as if being in his presence for any longer than necessary would be harmful to his health. Naruto looked over at the tree that had the fewest low branches and walked over to it, looking back at Sasuke. Naruto put one foot on the tree before calmly walking right up the tree, before stopping at a branch that was about 20 feet off of the ground and smirked down at Sasuke. "There is not a whole lot of explanation to tree walking. You just have to learn from trial and error how much chakra to use as you walk up. Just focus on the amount of chakra you use initially and use more or less depending on what you need to do." At seeing Naruto, the dead last walk straight up the tree, Sasuke sneered, thinking how easy it must be if Naruto could do it. Placing a foot against the trunk of the tree, Sasuke felt it stick and pulled his second foot up before immediately sliding off and falling onto his butt on the ground. Naruto resisted the urge to laugh at Sasuke but tried to remain helpful. "Sasuke, you didn't have enough chakra." Naruto tried to continue speaking, but Sasuke cut him off sharply. "I won't need your help with this, dope. If you can do it, I will have it done shortly. I won't need your help." Naruto laughed at Sasuke rather than getting mad at his arrogant comments. "Do you want to make that a bet, Sasuke?" Naruto pulled a kunai out of his holster and reached down a few feet and stuck the kunai into the tree. "If you can walk up here in 2 hours and pull the kunai out, I will forget about the favor I needed and you would have just gotten a free training technique, but if you can't do it, I get a second favor. Are you up for it, or does the great Sasuke Uchiha need to admit needing my help?" Sasuke again sneered for what seemed to Naruto like the 20th time. "Fine dope, but when I pull that kunai out of the tree, don't try to ask for a favor." With that, Sasuke renewed his efforts to walk up the tree, though they were no more successful than the first try. Paying no attention to Sasuke for a moment, Naruto held up the ram hand sign and created nearly a dozen shadow clones that poofed into existence in different places throughout the tree. Without any command from Naruto, they all began working on the lightning chakra training technique, but in different forms. They were in 4-man groups. One group expelled the chakra from their knuckles. Like Naruto had experimented with earlier, one pushed the chakra out of the tip of their finger and another was working on something a little different. Instead of pushing the chakra out in a burst, they started to work on coating a small part of themselves in lightning chakra, which was the beginning to the second stage of the technique, controlling lightning chakra outside of one's own body. Sasuke stopped to study the clones for a minute at seeing physical copies of Naruto that made the tree sag with the added weight and leaves to cascade around him like a blizzard. Sasuke was briefly jealous of Naruto. Where did the dope ever learn to make solid clones? And what is it that they are doing with their chakra? Is that lightning chakra? Sensing Sasuke stopping his attempts to run up a tree, Naruto called down to Sasuke, "Better stay focused there, Sasuke, you haven't gotten any further up the tree in the last 15 minutes than you did on your first try." Though he hadn't meant to make it so, Naruto's comment sounded like he was teasing Sasuke, something that infuriated Sasuke. So he stopped focusing at all on anything except getting up the tree, and on that next try, he managed to get a second foot and then a third foot up the tree. Sasuke felt exhilarated at the progress before he judged the distance between him and the kunai and saw that he would need about 25 of 30 steps to get up to the kunai to pull it down, and then he was back to work, working just as hard as Naruto and his clones were up in the tree above him. Before either one of them knew it, 2 hours had nearly gone by as both of them focused entirely on training and beating the task that was before them both, but as it was, there was only 10 minutes left in the second hour, and Sasuke had only made it roughly 20 steps up the tree, and he would need at least 5 more to get to the kunai. Naruto decided that enough was enough and dispelled his clones as he felt a momentary head rush at the information, something that somewhat worried Naruto. It was a strange feeling, as if it was almost painful, but not quite enough to be more than a minor distraction. To judge the progress of his clones in comparison to himself, Naruto tried to expel lightning chakra from the tip of his pinky, the finger that seemed to be the most difficult to control lightning chakra from, and was very, very pleased when a large jolt, close in size to what he had produced from his pointer finger, the easiest finger, much earlier that morning to demonstrate to his team. Next, he focused on splitting the lightning chakra into 4 parts and expelling 1 part from each of his knuckles. This had a much less noticeable change, as much smaller bursts of lightning chakra were expelled from each knuckle, but still, it was still a large improvement from what he had produced when he had hit Kakashi with it during the bell test. Then Naruto tried to coat his elbow in lightning chakra, which his clones had found the easiest to do, and was amazed when his elbow began to glow and crackle with electricity, and a visible field of chakra hovered on his elbow like a second skin. Suddenly struck with an idea, Naruto carefully maintained the lightning chakra on his elbow and swung it at the trunk of the tree. What resulted from this startled both Naruto and Sasuke, who had been watching while he struggled to make more progress to get to the kunai. When Naruto's elbow struck the trunk of the tree, it was as if it had been hit by hundreds of pounds of force from the weak elbow thrust, and the entire tree shook and rattled from the impact. There was also now a large black scar on the tree where Naruto's elbow had struck, and both Naruto and Sasuke nearly dropped their mouths open at the total result. Naruto was the first to voice their thoughts as he spoke up, "Well, holy shit. That was incredible. Imagine what would happen if I hit a person with that." Naruto's mind was reeling at the power that was achieved with something that was supposed to be so simple. How much chakra do I have that I can spam shadow clones and overload a simple chakra manipulation to the point that it has tremendous power? Sasuke was thinking something along the same lines, and he was blown away by the power that Naruto apparently had at his disposal. It has been 2 days since the academy ended, and he could do none of this then. Just what has changed that he has gained several new abilities. Sasuke felt a stab of admiration at Naruto's sudden change since only a few days before, and he couldn't help but think, now this Naruto would be a much more worthy teammate than the timid Hyuga girl and the fat Akimichi. Snapping out of the shock that had come with the overwhelming power that he had just displayed, Naruto looked down at Sasuke and laughed. "I think that time is up now, Sasuke, which means that I win, and you owe me 2 favors." Sasuke scowled, annoyed at himself for having lost his focus and not completing the challenge that Naruto had set up for him. "Fine then, dope, ask away with whatever you wish." Naruto shook his head. "No, now that won't you, Sasuke." Naruto jumped down to land a few feet away from Sasuke. "First I am going to give you a few tips that will help you with tree walking. 1. When you get both feet on the tree and you pick up your back foot to move it upward, never stop the steady chakra flow that you used to stick to the tree, to me. It seems like you cut the chakra flow each time you move your feet and it is slowing you down a bit. 2nd, when you are on 1 foot, use slightly more chakra to stick to the tree than you were using with 1 foot. This helps you stick to the tree better since you now only have 1 foot supporting your full weight, not 2, so you need more chakra to compensate." Sasuke looked at Naruto contemplating for several seconds before nodding his head, openly accepting Naruto's help. Sasuke took a step towards the tree and began to ascend the tree again. Sasuke's face was red with concentration, but this time, Sasuke got to 20 steps and then 25, and his hand reached down and tore Naruto's kunai from the tree. And gracefully back-flipped off of the tree to land next to Naruto, smiling smugly. Naruto smiled at Sasuke and said jokingly, "See? Now that wasn't so bad, was it? Imagine that, having someone else's advice can actually help you." Naruto saw Sasuke give him a slightly insulted look and quickly started talking again, "And this brings me to my first favor, Sasuke. I need you to work with your teammates, Choji and Hinata. They said that you refused to work with them when it was clear that working with them would showcase your abilities better. Just think, from the tips I was able to give you. You finished tree walking just like that." That's why ninja have teammates, because they will help you, and you will grow to be stronger, faster, with the help of your teammates. Sasuke stayed silent and looked at Naruto in what seemed to him like newfound respect, and it looked like Naruto's words had gotten through to Sasuke and made him think, look Sasuke, you are the strongest of our class, that much has been obvious, but that doesn't make any one of us beneath you, just look at what I have done in just a few days. With some help from the Hokage giving me some jutsu scrolls to learn, I would probably still be the dead last loser that was more bark than bite without his help. In the same way, your sensei Asuma can help you, he is the Hokage's son and was part of the daimyo's bodyguard, meaning he is really strong, work with Hinata and Choji, and work with Asuma, you can't become a great ninja all by yourself. With that, Naruto left Sasuke standing there, and Sasuke looked down at Naruto's kunai that he still held in his hand. It was dirty and partially bent, as if it had been broken at one point and then mediocrely fixed up and resold. Sasuke was about to throw it aside before he thought better of it and tucked it into his own kunai holster. Naruto would fall asleep that night, proud of himself and hoping that his words had gotten through to Sasuke and allow him to open himself to working with his teammates. Plus, he still had that other favor he would have to cash in for something. 7am the next morning saw Team 7 once again standing at the point where they had met up the day before. Once again their sensei was apparently late. Naruto was already training, 24 shadow clones arranged around the clearing, continuing their work with lightning manipulation. Bright whitish blue flashes appearing throughout the clearing as the clones practiced hitting trees with differing amounts of force. Meanwhile, Ino was leaned up against a tree, reading from her family's scroll as she had been the day prior, but even though it was past the required meeting time, Shikamaru still had not arrived, apparently taking a cue from their sensei. 2 hours passed that way, Naruto and Ino quietly working, until Shikamaru finally strolled into the training ground. His usual aura of laziness still present as always. Noticing that Shikamaru had finally arrived, Ino stood up from the ground, setting her scroll aside as she stormed furiously over to Shikamaru. Shikamaru. You had better have a good excuse for being late when Naruto and I have been here for at least 2 hours already. Ino's anger was highly intimidating to Shikamaru, and even though he kept an even face, he could only compare Ino to his own mother. Woe's spitfire attitude never failed to whip him into shape when she was around. I was just taking my time. It is not like Kakashi sensei is going to be here for a while. He doesn't strike me as someone who is on time much, especially after how late he was yesterday. Ino was not at all calmed by Shikamaru's excuses and instead got angrier after hearing them. If Naruto and I are both going to make the effort to get here at the time we were told to be here, then you will too. Just because you were a lazy bum in the academy doesn't mean that you should be able to do the same now that we are actual ninja. I did a lot of thinking, and I believe that everything that we are going to do, we do as a team. Naruto had stopped training when he first heard Ino start to yell at Shikamaru, and by the end, he found himself nodding, agreeing entirely to Ino's words. Ino could see Naruto silently agreeing with her, and so she took a step back from Shikamaru so she could address them both. My dad, Shikamaru's dad and Choji's dad are legends in the village because the three of them work together so well. After graduation, when you yelled at me Naruto, I got to thinking about why I became a ninja, and I believe I did it because I love the village and because I want to be a legend like my father. Shikamaru ended up looking down at the dirt as he carefully thought about what he was going to say before he finally gathered his thoughts and replied, I became a ninja for the same reasons and because it was one of the few things that I ever did that pleased both of my parents. Shikamaru looked up, glancing first at Ino before setting his gaze on Naruto. What about you Naruto? Why did you become a ninja? Did you really do it to try to become the Hokage? Naruto had to think for a second on what he should tell his teammates, the truth, or what he had been telling people for as long as he could remember. It was several seconds before Naruto answered the question, taking time to think his response over. At first, I wanted to become a ninja so that people would recognize me for it, respect me for it. And see that I am not just some street trash orphan like I used to be, but now that I have actually become a ninja, even if I am a genin, I see that there is so much more to being Hokage, to even being a ninja, than I ever thought. Well at first I wanted to become the Hokage for recognition, now all that I want is to be somebody that the world remembers. I want to help people that are in need. I grew up in the orphanage, before I was kicked out and had to live on the streets, and I would never wish that upon anyone. Ino and Shikamaru were stunned into silence. They had both known that Naruto was an orphan, but neither of them had even had the slightest idea that he might have actually had to grow up on the streets, and they were overwhelmed by the passion in Naruto's voice when he spoke about helping people that were in need like he had been. The wholehearted compassion in Naruto's voice was absolutely compelling. It was entirely more noble of a purpose than them, or anyone else that was in their academy class, had for becoming a ninja. There were several moments of silence as Shikamaru and Ino both tried to process that someone that people in the academy had always made fun of for never having a lunch or using old or barely usable equipment had to come up with those things himself. This was the beginning of a seed of doubt in Shikamaru's mind, usually when an orphan went into the academy. Their required equipment was all paid for by the academy, but Naruto had never been given any of those things. While Shikamaru began to analyze the situation, Ino reacted in an entirely different way. She ran forward and embraced Naruto, hugging him before Naruto managed to take stock of the situation he found himself in. It took a few seconds before Naruto returned the embrace, a few tears running down Naruto's face at the show of affection and caring that Ino had displayed. As Ino finally ended the hug after nearly 30 seconds, Naruto had wiped away his tears, even if he was still a bit overwhelmed, but Ino was not done. I cannot even begin to understand what that must have been like for you, Naruto, and yet you are still so outgoing and you care more about helping others than you do helping yourself. Ino took a moment before continuing, last night at dinner, I was telling my dad about how things went the last 2 days, from you yelling at me, to you helping me by teaching me how to walk on walls, and already, my dad told me that you have changed me, Naruto. My dad said that never before had I put effort into learning to become a ninja, nothing, but Sasuke-kun was able to motivate me. But 2 days with you, and my dad says my whole attitude has improved. Shikamaru took this moment to rejoin the conversation. It is almost the same with me, Naruto. My dad says that he noticed a change in me because I have begun to take training much more seriously, and he said that I have been less lazy, and it all because I am on a team with 2 troublesome blondes. Ino got an angry look in her eye as Shikamaru finished speaking, before suddenly yelling at him, troublesome blonde, huh? As if yelling at him was not enough, Shikamaru got a solid punch in the face for apparently insulting Ino, and if you are not as lazy anymore, why were you 2 hours late, Shikamaru? Shikamaru, for his part, looked sheepish for a moment before he dodged the question and then redirected the conversation entirely. It does not matter why I was late, but it was not at all because I was not at all, because I was simply being lazy. Besides that, we should all get to work while we wait for Kakashi-sensei to arrive. It was an hour later before Kakashi arrived at the training ground, exactly 3 hours late like he was the day before. However, Kakashi did not make himself known to his students when he arrived and instead stayed hidden in a tree, observing them training around the clearing. Weeks prior, when the Sandaime Hokage had told Kakashi that he was planning on having him take Naruto, Shikamaru and Ino on as a team, completely contradictory to how the council wanted him to have Sasuke on his team, Kakashi was completely unconvinced. From their files, Kakashi did not think there was any chance that the 3 could form an at-all cohesive team. Shikamaru was lazy and unmotivated. Ino got through the academy without ever showing promise in any area of being a ninja and seemed to most to be a hopeless fangirl of Sasuke, and then there was Naruto, his sensei's son, the Jinchuriki of the 9 tails. Endlessly motivated to succeed and someone who showed no capacity in ninja arts and no social skills to make friends among his classmates. Instead, Naruto was the X-factor that Shikamaru and Ino had needed. Kakashi did not really know the details, but apparently Naruto had had some conversation with the 2 of them that was somehow so impactful that it changed their outlook on training to be a ninja entirely. How Naruto had accomplished this, Kakashi would never know. And then here they were, the 3 of them again using the 3 hours of time he tried to give them to bond as a team to train instead, which was somehow already bonding them together as a team, as proven by their entirely surprising success at passing his bell test, which was partly due to Shikamaru's intelligence and Naruto's surprising lightning manipulation. All in all, this seemingly haphazardly thrown together team was looking like they could become an incredible team, but Kakashi had to admit that he still wished that he had been given Sasuke on his team, even though he had not recognized it. A part of him longed to train Sasuke, even if he could not come to explain why he wanted to do it. Finally coming out of his thoughts, Kakashi focused on observing his team of genin. Ino was standing next to a tree and leaning on it, going between reading from a family technique scroll and focusing her attention on an unmoving Shikamaru, while Shikamaru sat in an odd sort of pose and manipulating his shadow around him, moving it at different angles and seemingly training the movement of it. Looking for limitations in how far and fast he could manipulate his shadow, rather brilliant. And then there was Naruto, and Kakashi honestly did not know what to think as he watched Naruto. Naruto had nearly 24 clones around the clearing, working on a number of different exercises. All 12 clones were walking or running up the side of trees to work on chakra control, but also multitasking with different exercises, something that greatly surprised Kakashi. As he had thought that Naruto had terrible control of his chakra, and yet there he was with his clones, managing to walk up trees and coat parts of his body in lightning chakra. But then Kakashi saw what could only be the real Naruto, who was standing a ways into the trees, away from the group, and at the moment, he had both of his fists covered in lightning chakra as Naruto moved towards a tree and dropped into a taijutsu stance, albeit a terrible one. It clicked in Kakashi's mind what Naruto was doing. Naruto is trying to learn to use lightning chakra manipulation to enhance his strikes, based off of the one hit that Naruto had landed on him with lightning chakra emitted from his knuckles. Kakashi was almost waiting in breathless apprehension as he waited to see the result of Naruto hitting a tree with his entire fist now crackling in energy, and he was not going to be disappointed. Naruto hit the tree first with his left hand, a wild left hook that was incredibly slow and lacked much form, but when Naruto finally hit the trunk of the tree, he took Kakashi's breath away. Naruto hit the tree, and a loud crack filled the air, the tree shook, and an indentation about 3 inches deep was in the tree, a large black mark along the otherwise unmarked tree trunk. And then more blows followed. As Kakashi watched, Naruto was beating his way through a tree with his fists and a godly amount of pure lightning chakra. After a dozen blows, Naruto had beaten almost a foot into the 8-foot diameter of the tree, and the large oak tree groaned with each hit, perpetuated with each crack of energy that followed Naruto's blows. As Kakashi was watching in absolute fascination, there was only one thought on his mind: this is completely insane. What could Naruto do if he was faster, stronger, and was more trained in taijutsu? Kakashi quickly created a shadow clone that immediately raced off in the direction of the village, the Hokage's office to be specific. Hiruzen was going to want to watch this with his crystal ball for sure. Kakashi's clone only took a few minutes to reach the Hokage's office and only a few seconds to be admitted by his secretary, and the clone quickly relayed Kakashi's message to observe Naruto immediately, stressing the importance of it. Hiruzen did not know what to think when he felt Kakashi's shadow clone enter his office, but after it told him what Kakashi wanted him to do, he was incredibly curious. Apparently something was so important that Kakashi had thought it needed his immediate attention, but it apparently wasn't something bad, or else Kakashi's clone would have been asking the Hokage to come. Not simply see whatever was happening. And whatever Sarutobi Hiruzen, the god of shinobi, one of the most experienced and learned shinobi minds in all the elemental nations, was expecting, what he saw when he looked into his crystal ball, was something that he had not expected. Upon seeing the insane power behind what Naruto was doing to the trees with lightning-powered punches, Hiruzen couldn't help but speak his thoughts out loud. "My boy Naruto, I do not know how you did it, but you just turned a useless elemental manipulation into potentially one of the most powerful taijutsu styles to ever be created." Of course, Hiruzen knew that he had seen or heard of something similar before, and upon a few moments of thought while he watched Naruto wreak havoc on undeserving trees, he remembered where he had seen something similar before. Naruto is doing something incredibly similar to the ninjutsu of the Sandaime and Yondaime Raikages, but how did he ever manage to do this in 2 days? 5 minutes after he sent his shadow clone to the Sandaime, Kakashi jumped down behind Naruto, who heard someone land behind him as he was in the middle of taking another swing at a tree, lost his focus, and suddenly, the lightning chakra coating his fists dissipated. Kakashi quickly noting that even a momentary break in focus was enough for Naruto to lose control of the lightning chakra. Naruto turned to Kakashi, a blank look on his face. "Impressed, Kakashi? I must admit that I knew I had a lot of chakra, but this result was something that was beyond my expectations. I knew that I was onto something when I hit you with the lightning chakra I could manage yesterday." Kakashi was completely taken aback. Naruto was suddenly cold and expressionless, nothing at all like the Naruto that was talked with his teammates and had seemed extremely happy yesterday at beating him at the bell test. Naruto observed and expected Kakashi's response. "Don't act so surprised, Kakashi. I am sure that the Hokage had briefed you at some point that I am not exactly anything like the kind-hearted yet sadly idiotic clown that I seem to be. I know that he told me to drop my ask and all, but I thought it better to maintain a different image around my teammates and other classmates. Plus, from the result of the short while it took to make a complete change in my teammates' attitudes, I would say that it is a necessary facade for now. I toned down the extremity of my behavior a bit, but for now I will still keep it in place until I think that my teammates could handle finding out I am nothing like who I seem to be." Kakashi, however, stayed silent. He for once did not know what to say. Naruto smirked. "Apparently the old man is letting some of that old age get to him. He didn't tell you, did he?" Naruto laughed, which sounded hollow, even to Kakashi, before he turned away from him. "We should get back to the other two. You had your fun watching me mess around." And then Naruto walked back to the clearing where Ino and Shikamaru greeted him back with nods as they stayed focused on their work. Kakashi still stood dumbfounded where Naruto had left him. Just who the hell is Naruto really? Things no longer made any sense to Kakashi. Apparently Naruto was not who he seemed at all, and it truly terrified Kakashi. Now he wondered if what Naruto had apparently shown him with his ninjutsu was even the only thing that he had been learning for the last few days. Because something about the way that Naruto had spoken and carried himself in those few moments where he apparently showed his true self to Kakashi rang alarm bells in Kakashi's mind. Finally going back into the clearing, Kakashi got the attention of his team, noting that Naruto had seamlessly slipped back into his persona, but Kakashi had to put that in the back of his mind while he informed his team that they would be going to receive their first mission. Shikamaru grinned slightly, seeming glad they would be beginning missions already. Ino had a similar reaction, smiling from ear to ear as she started thinking on what cool thing they would be doing for their first mission. Meanwhile, Naruto simply grinned happily, looking like he was doing his best to hold back his excitement. Kakashi led the way for his team back to the village, but his thoughts were completely occupied by Naruto. His facade was so convincing and completely unexpected that he still found it hard to believe, when their missions were over, he was going to take Naruto to go see the Hokage, because there was something that still bothered Kakashi. The look in Naruto's eyes when he had dropped his persona, they were devoid of compassion entirely, what he always saw in Naruto's eyes, but instead they were cold and calculating. Something about Naruto was horribly wrong, he seemed incredibly intelligent, which explained the sudden incredible leaps Naruto had made in 2 days of training, but not why he had failed the academy graduation tests. Obviously something had made Naruto wait to graduate, because the Naruto he saw was not some puny fresh academy graduate. Author's note. Yes, hello, I am back. I think it has been 3 months since my last update, sorry about that, but school friends League of Legends took over my life there for a while. I just want to say a few things about this story really quick. This story received 9,137 views out of the total number of views, 14,026, in the last 3 months. Meaning that 65% of my views are from this one story, and if that is not proof enough that this story deserves to be continued more than the others, then I do not know what is. Yes, that means that I am really going to try my best to finish this story, even if none of the other stories ever do get finished. This story currently has over 77,500 views, and that just blows me away. On a completely different topic, I want to take a moment to talk about a new website coming out called Journalister. It is something similar to Wattpad and Fiction Press, but the authors who will post on their site will get paid when their website is complete and advertisement deals set. The authors will get paid a certain amount per view they get. You link your account to account through which you get paid. Thanks for watching.